It's for you.
Thank you.
Okay, it's on. Okay. So you're feeling okay?
Pretty good.
Pretty good?
I I don't fool myself. I'm not a youngster. I don't know exactly what the age is now, but I was 93 a while.
You were 93 a while ago?
Yeah.
Wow, that's nice. That's very nice. That's great.
So every day is a bonus. Yeah.
But you're still optimistic. I mean,
Yeah, optimistic, but I know there are no miracles.
Yeah.
There are no miracles. You just don't go on living, you know.
But as you always say, that you have to live, a full life. You say so, right? So
Well,
it was given to you. The life was given to you, so you have to.
I try to make the best of it.
Really.
Every day,
Exactly.
every day was a bonus.
Yeah. But you have your family around you.
Yeah,
Your
but that's why
daughter.
I'm here.
You're here.
Yeah.
Are you glad that you came to Israel?
Well,
What do you feel about it?
I love Israel, and there were quite a few people from my hometown that made Aliyah here, and I followed the news. They used to have it almost every so often. They have a gathering in Rimanov.
In Kenosha.
No,
In Rimanov?
Rimanov.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What they were telling about their life in Israel or what?
No, they had every Zionist organization
Okay.
in Rimanov,
Okay.
and very active.
Mm.
Like there was the Shomer Atzair
Yeah, Shomer Atzair.
was very active, youngsters,
Uh-huh.
teenagers, and they would have a ping pong table, and I lived close by, and I made an effort to go as often as possible. Yeah.
So what you're saying is that Israel was always on your mind. That you
Yeah, we had Israeli songs. I know a lot of the Israeli songs that they're singing today.
They tried to teach you back then Israeli songs. Did they tell you about Israel? What's going on here in the country? Did they try to convince you to make an aliyah back then? Because
they had maybe more than a dozen Israelis from the different Zionist organizations.
Okay.
Some very orthodox, and some in between, and, uh, and they had Beitar was there, the Shomer Atzair was there, the just about every Zionist organization.
So why did they come? Why did they come to Rimanov?
Well, they didn't have to come to Romanov.
They were okay.
They lived in
Locals.
Romanov.
Oh, all right. Okay.
They lived in Romanov.
I thought you said that people came from Israel to try to convince you to make Aliyah. Okay.
They had local
organizations
where they kept up. We would have constant meetings and historical meetings.
What do you mean historical meetings?
It's history of Israel, from way back, of the Jewish people. That was always an important news. you know. And there was some, like Shomer Atzayer was very active in activities, physical activities.
Yeah.
And there was the Beitar, they had their own organization. And I knew everybody in all the organizations. Yeah.
How did they have money to all these activities? Who gave them the money? The
Well,
organization?
they had the forwards, newspaper was received on a daily basis, and people studied about leaving and going to, they call it Palestine.
Yeah.
Even Polish.
It wasn't a state back then.
It was?
It wasn't a state before 48.
Right.
It was, yeah.
See, they had it in Polish. Jedziemy do Palestiny. We're going to the land of Israel. And it says, Kvar zaraszno wygamzarano in Polish language.
Okay.
Yeah. Aval lo katsano. You know, so it was.
So you can say that since you were a young boy, Israel was always in your heart.
Always, yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Have you
also, we had 4 synagogues. And I never missed one service. I even conducted services on the high holidays. Something.
Later.
Later.
Because you were too young back then at Rimanov.
Well, I wasn't that young.
Like around 14, 15?
13 years old, yeah. Okay. The war broke out, I was 13. Yeah. And I would leave Romanov to another town in Poland, and we would rent a place in the attic of Boydum. You know the Boydum? And I would travel to Lvov. You never heard of it?
I heard of it.
Lvov is the largest city in the area. And I would take products that they liked. Eggs, butter, other things. Because there was a big supply where we lived in the area.
That was when the German conquered Poland and they sent the Jews to the other side of the river, right? To the Russian part of Poland.
It took a while. See, they entered Poland and they stayed in Poland for quite a while.
Yeah, the Germans.
No, the
Russians.
The Russians.
They took one part of the country and they split. German one side and the Russian the other side. Yeah. And they deported you to the.
And we were on the border between the German side
and the
Russian side. Yeah.
Okay.
And when we moved, it was all Russian. And we moved from our home about 20 kilometers. It was the Russian.
Yeah. So, actually, all your life you were connected to Judaism and to Israel.
Yeah.
Have you ever, thought about making an aliyah before? I mean, why did you go? No, okay. You went to the States because your uncle was in New York and he asked you to come, right?
Not only one uncle.
2 uncles were lived in New York.
My mother's brother.
And your father's brother.
My father's brother.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about?
And the one, my father's brother, he told us he has the cash money to help us if we come to help us open up a business,
Yeah.
you know. And then we had another uncle there. He went there about same time, 1913, and he wasn't doing so good financially. He started businesses, but he never became a rich man, you know. But we kept. I would correspond with both of them, with the uncles, yeah. And it was in Yiddish. The letters were written in Yiddish. But then, just before we got the visa to go to the States, this was my mother's brother.
Yeah.
He got a job in one of the places in Poland, and to travel all over the world in a ship. He got paid for it. When he got to New York, he quit. He just he deserted.
He deserted.
Yeah, and became a fisherman. He had one of the nicest fish stores in New York City. He had to get up 3 o'clock in the morning and go to the fish. It was a large fish market where you could buy fresh live fish. And then he opened up a business. So just before we got the visa, I wrote him a letter, and I wrote him in English.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, now that it looks close to coming to the United States, I'm going to write the letter this time in English rather than Yiddish. And he wrote back, he says, if you wrote that letter in English, you know a better English than I do. Yeah, because they talked a lot
Yeah.
of Yiddish in New York. In the one that had the car business, he had a
Pontiac.
Pontiac agency. He had a brother-in-law in the business, sales manager, and he had another brother-in-law who was.
It was a family business.
It was a family business, yeah. And they all got involved in it, and he made a lot of money. And he told us, you know, that.
He told you, come, I'll help you.
Yeah, because if we say, he'll send us some money. If we don't leave. But he was illiterate.
Yeah.
When he left. Mm-hmm. Never went to school. Neither was my father. My mother was the more educated one. She could write Polish letters, you know, in the Polish language. Yeah.
So he convinced you to come to the States. You thought it would be better if you leave Europe and go to the States, to live in the States.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, to leave Europe, we almost had to, because the Germans took over the business. We never got it back.
Yeah.
We had the
Germans or the Polish? After the war. Who took the business after the war? In Rimanov. The Polish people, right?
Yeah. But the Germans took it
Yeah, when they,
in 39,
yes.
1939. And we had a growing business.
Mhm.
And it was not just gasoline, it was big business was kerosene.
Kerosene.
And kerosene, we used to get 10 cars. You know what a 10 car?
Yeah.
A whole.
Mhm.
And we even made arrangements with a couple of other merchants in town because the cash was required to pay right away for the kerosene.
When you left Rimanov,
Yeah.
when you forced to leave Rimanov, what did you do with the business? Did you ask any local, any neighbor to take care of it, or it just that the German took it and you had
They
no?
took it, they emptied the gas station. There was nothing
There was nothing to do or
to leave.
no.
The office for the kerosene and gasoline was about 15 kilometers away. And they were very nice people. Some of them were Jewish presidents of the company, and they were very nice. But then there was friction before my father got into the business. There was competition. They didn't want to see my father get the. There was no franchise. There was no company that owned the gasoline station.
What do you mean?
There was no gasoline station existing in Romanov.
Okay.
And when my father found out that there is going to be available, a, so he had to deal with the city official to get a spot to put a tank in the ground and to build the station. And then there was a resort about 4 or 5 kilometers. They call it Ivonich Zdruy. And that was a place where people would come from the entire country. It was very well financed by different companies, opening places in the forest, and it was a very popular place. We were in Krakow in 1918, I think it was. We took a trip. And I was talking to some of the women in Krakow, and they remembered Romanov's Zdruy, and Ivonich Zdruy. Yeah. So it was a popular resort area because it was mountains into the Carpathian
Mountains.
And it was close to Hungary and Czechoslovakia. Like when we had elections in Romanov for the rabbi place, that he had Hasidim, and including my father, they would drive to the border and bring in votes from not only Romanov.
So, in the terms of those times, did you were you a rich family? You can say you know at that time.
We were considered.
You were considered
well-to-do because we always bought nice. We either had it made suits, shirts. There were people in town,
Mm-hmm.
tailors, and there were women that would have the businesses in their home. They would have a sewing machine, and they would make shirts, and, you know.
And you bought from them.
Yeah. And also, there were 4 synagogues. And so it was a very active community.
You were, you can say, a respectable family in the community
Very much, yeah.
in Rimano.
Yeah, sure.
Your father was respected, and your mother also. Your parents, they were respected by the community.
Sure. But
Mhm.
there were some who were Jewish competitors.
Always,
What?
always Jewish
Yeah.
competitors. Yes.
There was a woman that had a store, and she was selling. There was no gas station at the time, and she would sell it by the can,
Mm-hmm.
5 liter, 10 liter, and that was her business.
And now, when you open the
And before we opened it,
yeah,
she knew that there was an investigation about my father's reputation and credit, and she would write in negative.
oh, really? Wow.
Jente Meyer was her name.
Yente.
Jente Meyer.
Wow.
But she had a lot of other things selling.
So she was afraid
But-
for her business.
Yeah, she didn't want to see the kerosene
Yeah.
because at that time the gasoline and the kerosene, because there was no electricity in the villages around.
Mm.
So kerosene became a big business. Yeah. So when we bought it, we would get it from the refinery was about 15 kilometers away.
Mm-hmm.
We would have farmers, not Jewish,
Mm-hmm. Polish.
Polish, with a horse and a carriage, and they would go to the refinery, and they would bring the kerosene and the gasoline by barrels. A barrel was like 150 liter, and the kerosene had to go on the ground, and
Then
they-
you had
they get-
pumps.
no,
No?
there was there was a station that we got from the company.
Oh.
To get up, it was no problem. You would just pump. It was a French company. You could just press a button, and the gasoline
Came
would
out.
come from the tank. It would be 5 liter each. There was 2 5 liter.
People use the gasoline for what, actually?
Mostly cars.
Cars. There were many cars in the area at that time.
There were
Many cars.
not many, but there were 2 resorts. There was a Romanos Roy,
Yeah.
what they call,
Yeah.
and that was owned by the barons
Okay.
from England somehow.
Okay.
Potocki, they called
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
because when we were in Lvov, which is the big city already, it was occupied by the Russians, and I went there with my father. Usually, you greeted people, you took off your hat, and you say, Dzień dobry, hrabia Potocki, or whatever. You say, good morning,
Yeah.
so.
Uh-huh.
And he says, don't mention Hrabia Potocki
Wow.
because they would be concerned that they would be forced to give up
Oh.
their business because they didn't trust the Russian government by keeping it. So they didn't want to be known
Oh.
as the Barons because their connections were in England with some very wealthy people.
From England.
Yeah, from England. But they were in contact constantly. But they were the wealthy people. They owned the whole. Romanov Zdrój was the resort area.
What happened with the result during the war? What happened with the result?
We were allowed to keep it.
Ah.
Yeah. My mother would make a field to fish. There would be a river in Romanov and they had a place where they would pick up fresh carp, take it home, and make
Gefilte fish.
gefilte fish. And the Polish people, everybody, they loved it.
Really? Really?
Yeah. It was a big delicacy.
But it was sweet, right?
What?
Sweet gefilte fish. With a sweet taste. Because you know there are many who make the carp, the gefilte fish hot,
No.
spicy. But the Polish gefilte fish is sweet.
No, the Polish didn't make the fish.
I know.
The gefilte.
I know.
They bought the fish, were live at the river. There was a place where they would pick it up and take it home and make it for Friday night and Saturday.
It's like my mother did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah, we bought the fish.
Everybody's mother.
Yeah, we bought the fish.
Yeah.
And she would take it.
Yeah.
Hit it, and.
But my mother would take some of it cooked to the resort, gefilte fish.
For the guests.
And they for the owners.
Ah, for the owners
of the resort.
Oh, really?
And they loved it.
They weren't Jewish.
No, they were not Jewish. But even in Russia, my father made a big dinner before we were leaving.
Oh.
And made gefilte fish.
Really?
And kosher meat. They would buy a cow in Kazakhstan and have it slaughtered by the shochet. There was a shochet from Europe and make a dinner for the non-Jewish people, and they loved it. Even here, they like it in America.
Yeah.
Some of the food.
What kind of food did you eat except gefilte fish? What else was on your table?
You could buy just about anything.
No, what did your mother cook?
Oh.
What did your mother cook?
Potato soup.
Potato soup?
Yeah, was popular.
Oh, okay.
Because potatoes were famous for Wisconsin. They grew a lot of potatoes.
No, your mother wasn't in Wisconsin. Your mother passed away.
No.
When you were in Lvov.
No.
She was buried in Lvov.
My father was still in Poland.
Yeah, but your mother died on your way.
Yeah.
Right? On the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But before
that,
she, before she died, what did she cook?
she made all kinds of, there were little grocery stores,
Okay.
and they would buy products that were popular with the Jewish people.
Like what? Potato soup, you say potato
Just
soup.
about anything that you can buy today in Israel, you could buy it in Romanov before the war. There was little grocery shops, and it was all they would buy it.
So what did she make? What did she make out of it?
Well, she usually had help, like before Saturday and Friday,
Okay.
and she would make different kinds of soup, potato soups, chicken soup.
A lot of soup.
Well, soup is still popular today. Yeah, they still like it in Poland, in the United States also.
So when you now I'm taking you to Kenosha, to Wisconsin, okay? With the girls and Marsha and Natalie, when they were young.
Yeah.
What did your wife cook? Same food?
Same thing.
Same thing. Jewish food?
Jewish style.
Did she know how to make gefilte fish?
Who?
Your wife?
Yeah, sure.
Lenore?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did she make a potato soup? She knew how to do it?
There was also, potato soup. Potatoes are famous for Wisconsin.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They grow.
Because what? The potato is cheap.
Well, no, because the earth produces a lot of potatoes.
Oh, okay.
Because some of them, Polish people that lived in Romanov, came to Israel and they were able to buy some land and they would grow.
Israel or Kenosha? You mean Kenosha?
No, any place.
Okay.
Non-Jewish people. It was a business.
Okay.
For non-Jewish people in the United States. Potatoes. Potatoes were cheap. Poland was famous for producing potatoes.
Poland?
Yeah. Because the earth produced a lot of potatoes.
And in Wisconsin, what did you eat in Wisconsin? What did your wife make?
Well, you could go to the grocery store.
In Kenosha?
Yeah. And they were mostly the Jewish stores. And they would have anything you like by the pound. You could buy it. You could, but it was shipped from the larger cities. But it was available. Yeah.
So actually you eat Jewish food.
Yeah.
Again. Yeah.
But there was chazir also.
No, chazir, yeah.
Yeah.
But did you eat chazir?
No.
No.
But some Jewish people would sneak in and buy a ham sandwich.
Did they hide it? Or
what?
Did they hide it that they eat chazir?
Yeah, they hide it.
They hide it?
One of them happened to be one of my brothers.
Yeah, he liked it.
He liked it.
Yeah. But he didn't tell you, look, I'm eating non-kosher food, or he didn't talk about it, but
he knew. But the store was across the street, and it looked good. and he didn't pay attention. He was not observant as much, But
you're talking about who? Eddie?
No.
Baruch?
Baruch. Yeah. He knew it was not allowed.
But still.
But he liked to go to dance with the sheiks. There was a sokol. They call it sokol. It was a place where they had Gentile boys and girls have an orchestra and do some dancing. Yeah. And it was a no-no to go for a Jewish boy, but
But he went. He went. He loved to live life,
yeah,
to be happy, to be
well,
joyful.
you could live life. I belonged to the Zionist organizations, you know. There were a lot of girls and boys, but we didn't have on a daily basis, they call it a sokol, a place where they have intermingled Jewish, non-Jewish mostly, you know. But our customers, 90% were Catholic.
Catholic.
Right. See, if you have Catholic customers, you treat them well, they love you. You know, they are friendly.
Yeah.
So we didn't.
They are people.
Yeah.
People are people.
Yeah. We didn't find any discrimination because we always advertised before Passover and Shavuos and all the Jewish holidays. And Saturday closed for the Jewish holidays. And there were 90% not Jewish people that came in from different countries, and they bought from us. Yeah.
You don't recall any incident when you felt like any discrimination, anything towards the Jews in Kenosha?
No,
nothing. You don't remember anything about it?
Not necessarily.
No.
You tried to do the right things, you know, because it's all newspaper advertising. We had full pages. You know, it was expensive to advertise, like 500 zlotys or more to run a full page
Dollars.
in the Polish language.
Okay.
Yeah. But then we had the Jewish man that bought the newspaper too in Kenosha.
Have you ever thought about, or why didn't you think about making an aliyah when you lived in Kenosha?
Yeah.
And you had a business first, but after you retired from the business, have you ever thought about going to Israel, make an aliyah?
Sure. Because one of our uncles, who was married to my mother's sister,
okay,
he was a very active member of the rabbi's synagogue,
okay,
which was respected by Jews and non-Jews.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother's brother made Aliyah, and he became a member of the kibbutz here. He's still living here. He's still around.
Okay. Your mother's brother?
Yeah.
Yeah. Your mother brothers?
Yeah. Moshe Weinstein.
No, he's supposed to be too old.
Well,
no?
He was a young man. He was a Halutznik. You know, he came to visit Kenosha before the war. But he came, he was a Halutznik, you know. And, but my uncle, they had sewing machines, and he was the cutter.
Hmm.
make the pattern, and they had a factory in the house
Where?
in Roanoke.
Romanov?
Yeah. So a lot of the shoemakers,
Hmm.
if they wanted a nicer shoe, better quality leather, they would go
Hmm.
to my uncle and buy the upper part, and they would put on the sole.
Okay. But I'm taking you back to Kenosha.
Yeah.
Okay. And you retired what? After 20 years of business? How many years, you had the business, the furniture business? How many years?
Well,
Approximately. When did
12.
you retire?
Well, we retired when the war started.
No, in Kenosha, Wisconsin, when you had the furniture business, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you run a furniture business in Kenosha.
No,
What do you mean no?
we didn't run a furniture business
In Wisconsin.
in Wisconsin.
In Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not Kenosha.
What do you mean? So where? You had the furniture in the city, right? You had the furniture business.
Nothing, nothing Kenosha. We started the furniture business in Kenosha.
In Kenosha.
In Kenosha.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh,
Okay. For how many years you had the business?
a long time.
Long time?
Yeah.
How long?
20 years.
20 years? And then you retired. What did you do with the business?
We
You
sold
closed?
sold it
Sold
off.
out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Big sale.
Big sale. Okay.
Yeah.
And you got rid of all the furniture, all the merchandise, everything?
Yeah. Most,
Okay. How old were you?
well,
Around your 60s?
yeah, I was actually when we left for Russia, we lost the business. We didn't have the.
Kenosha. Go to Kenosha. I know about when you left to Russia,
Yeah.
but when you were in Kenosha and you retired from the furniture business, you sold it out. You sold every furniture you had, right? And you closed the store
Yeah.
that you had. You remember how old were you? You were around your 60s
I was a teenager.
in Kenosha. No, you were a businessman in Kenosha, Wisconsin. You remember the furniture?
Yeah.
So, and you had your two daughters, Natalie and Marsha.
They both went to college.
Yes, right. And
But they went out of town.
okay.
Madison, Wisconsin. Madison is
Both of them
yeah.
went to Madison.
Yeah. They also went in the summertime. They went to the Jewish schools.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Summer Jewish schools.
schools from with a wrench from Chicago.
Okay.
They had a place not far from Kenosha.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that was part of the reform. Yeah. You know what it
I know what it is, but what do you mean? What was part of the reform?
the school, the college
Okay.
school, they didn't have an Orthodox college place.
They didn't have a Jewish college, right?
What?
There was a Jewish college in
No.
Madison, no Jewish college. So they went to a regular college,
I
a
know,
local one.
But they did have out of medicine, they had a religious reform,
Oh,
Hebrew
oh,
school.
okay.
They learned in the summertime. They went there for the summer.
Oh, okay.
But that was had to be paid
Yeah. It's
privately.
private. Yeah.
Well,
Private.
we joined the reform because they could understand the English better than the Hebrew from the beginning. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also the Hebrew school near Kenosha was brought in a lot of them from Wisconsin, from the Chicago area, a lot of Jewish students. They still keep up friendship.
Oh, you're from college?
Yeah. No, not college. This is high school.
High school?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. What language did you speak at home?
Yiddish usually.
Yiddish with the girls? No, I mean when Natalie and Marsha, with Natalie and Marsha, did you speak English or
English?
English.
English, but I learned Yiddish pretty fast.
And you and Lenore, you and your wife,
Yeah.
what language did you speak between
Yiddish.
yourselves?
Yiddish.
She knew Yiddish?
What?
Lenore knew Yiddish? Lenore, your
Yeah.
wife, did she
Yeah.
know English?
She did, yeah.
Okay. So both of
Because
you, okay.
the family lived in the Chicago area, and they belonged to a Reform synagogue there before she got married. So and the father preferred the the English part in England. I mean, in English. Yeah. It was more popular for some people growing up at this stage to be more modernized, and to be more modern would be reform. Yeah.
And you were okay with it? I mean,
Okay, because we wanted them to have an education, and we realized that that's the best outcome. You're going to live with non-Jews in different places, doing different things. Might as well.
and when Natalie decided to marry a non-Jewish man,
Yeah.
how did you feel about it? You and Lenore?
It was not popular.
It wasn't popular
No,
for a Jewish person to marry non-Jewish.
no.
So when she told you that she wants to marry a non-Jewish, what was your reaction?
She wouldn't say it.
So how did you find out?
What?
What do you mean she didn't say it?
She wouldn't. She didn't associate with non-Jewish. Most of all her friends that were boys were Jewish, because in the Reform Temple they tried to make it in English. Most of it was in English. I mean, there was Hebrew, but it was also English. I mean,
what is Natalie's husband's name?
what?
What is Natalie's husband's name? What is his name? Natalie's husband.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Now?
Yeah. She has a husband, right? Natalie.
Yeah.
She's married. What's his name? You remember? Don't remember?
Not too well.
Okay.
I don't think we met him too often.
She has kids?
She met him after the war.
Natalie, your daughter.
Yeah.
Your daughter, she lives in the States now, right?
Yeah.
In Wisconsin.
Yeah.
How many kids does she have?
I'm not
Your grandchildren?
one or two, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many grandchildren do you have? You remember?
Not really.
No. Marsha has 3 children.
We try not to get too technical about it. If they live in an area where there are not too many Jewish people, Whatever they choose, there's not much you can do about it.
How many kids Marsha has? Marsha, your daughter, how many kids?
Now,
Yes?
yeah.
How many?
Well, you got
She has Moshe, right?
what?
Moshe.
Moshe.
And what's their daughter's name?
Yeah. She just came back from
From,
a summer vacation.
right, what's her name?
But,
You don't remember
Yeah.
now. Okay, you remember
yeah,
later.
yeah.
And so Marsha has 3 children, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And Natalie? How many?
We never got into to
Okay.
know exactly
Okay.
what was happening. But she is as American as they come, and you live in an American village, and you meet Jewish or not Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot, there is probably 50% of the Jewish girls in the United States marry non-Jews.
50%.
Yeah.
50.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Because they can communicate better, you know. And there is more and more Jewish children marry non-Jewish boys. They get to be pretty much the same. Yeah.
You remember her husband? Natalie's husband? You remember him?
No,
You know what he does for a living?
not really. I don't think I met him very often. You have to be careful not to, if she likes him, then there's not much I can do to break that.
You wish you would marry a Jewish man? You wish?
Sure. But I realize that the choice is
Hers.
what?
This is her choice,
Yeah,
not yours.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's why I have not just Kenosha, but New York and other places.
Mm-hmm.
There is 50% mixed marriages, and a lot of Jewish girls don't think they are that different than the non-Jewish. Some Jewish boys are not perfect.
Right. So eventually you accepted it. I mean, logically, you accepted the
I
fact
know,
that
but
she's married.
she visited. She comes to visit Marsha, Natalie.
Mm-hmm. With the husband?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, she does.
Okay.
And they respect each other.
Mm-hmm.
They speak like Natalie calls every evening.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And you talk to her?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She calls me. She's the one actually that made the arrangements for
For
me
you
to
to
go
come.
to live with Marsha,
Mm.
because she could see that where I was, there is no selection. There were no Jewish boys. The place where I was working in the hospital, it was non-Jewish.
After you got sick and you went to the hospital?
Yeah. Before that, I was volunteering at the hospital.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then you got sick and you hospitalized.
The what?
You got sick You had something in your
Yeah,
lungs or
that's
something.
it.
Okay.
But I was friendly with everybody in the hospital, doctors and lawyers, and I don't know. You, even in Poland, you try to be more understanding,
What do you mean?
to be tolerant. A Christian
Ah.
boy,
Mm.
you know,
Mhm.
used to be closer, you know, where was more among Jews, you know, than it's turned later. This Marshall's and Nedley's generation are respectful for for Jewish for Jewish girls. Yeah. They treat Jewish girls well.
Who?
The Goyim.
The Goyim?
Yeah. Mhm. And the parents too.
So
I don't feel like I'm mistreated because my daughter's I'm my daughter's father. There is more tolerance
yeah.
and more of this.
More open to
Yeah.
yeah to mixed marriages.
Right.
Mhm.
What about the United States? The same thing.
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
Mhm.
Many of the Israelis and Jewish people who live in the States, their children marry a non-Jewish person.
That's
Yeah.
what I mean.
Yeah. You don't have a lot to do about it because if you choose to live among goyim, so you have to take into consider that maybe your children will meet a non-Jewish person and we fall in love and get
No,
married.
but I'm observing the Jewish community here in Israel.
Ah, okay.
The majority is far from being Jewish.
The majority of what? Of the Jews from Israel?
Yeah,
What do you mean?
because there is not a very Jewish upbringing with a synagogue and
Religion. You mean religious?
religion.
Yeah, religion.
Religion is what keeps Jewish people. Otherwise, what else is
Religion, tradition,
there?
tradition
Yeah,
also. Yeah.
religion is part of tradition and so on. And it, it doesn't.
I have friends who live in the States, Israelis who live in the
Yeah,
States, and they have children.
yeah,
And one or two of their children, two boys, young boys,
yeah,
they met, a non-Jewish woman,
yeah,
and they were going to marry.
sure.
So you don't have anything to do. You have to take in consideration that, that if you live there among non-Jewish people,
Sure. But
there is a chance that
even for me, see here, I'm observing the Jewishness among Jewish people. It's not very Jewish.
yeah, I understand what you're
The
saying.
majority doesn't believe in Orthodox law. You know,
Yeah.
you can't eat this, you can't eat that. You got to wait so many hours. The, for instance, the leaders of Israel don't feel they have to cover their head. In Poland,
Everybody
a Jewish boy had to wear
with a kippah.
a kippah or
Yeah.
a hat. I still I have several hats when I sit down and I eat out, I put on a hat because this is, they call it the Bloisen Kopf, the bare head.
The bare head.
Yeah. In Yiddish, it's the Bloisen Kopf. It's a no-no because why are we different if we don't have to cover, our heads?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's complicated. It's not so,
I know, but we're learning they're not different if they don't wear a cap.
I think what is matter is what in your heart. You have to be a good person,
Yeah.
a decent one. And I think it doesn't matter if you put your kippah or you don't put the kippah on your head, or you read the Bible, or you go to synagogue every holiday.
But
you have to be a good and decent people,
right.
To do good.
But it's still, when I was brought up,
Yeah, of course.
to come to shul,
Of course.
before bar mitzvah, so bar mitzvah was not a miracle for me, and I learned. The rabbi, the teacher would come to the house, and I would be in a cradle, and I would say to the rabbi, now you can rock the cradle,
Yeah.
I was a year old. You don't have the connection between the rabbi is two different things. You know what a malamet is?
Yeah.
I was sitting on a Saturday morning next to my malamet, to the rabbi, like he was
God.
He was part of God. And I know they're
different times.
And I know, if I look at it, some of them are obeying, but the majority of Jewish people in the state of Israel are not too religious. Yeah. So what can you do? But if you want a Jewish land, you have to have.
But it doesn't mean that they are not Jewish. I mean, they are Jewish, but they keep, the mitzvot in their own ways.
I know. This is not Jewish.
This is not Jewish. Okay.
See, no, I mean, we know this is all that there is. To being Jewish and not Jewish. Okay. To observe the Jewish customs and the Jewish laws. See? Tefillin. You know what tefillin are? Yeah.
Of course, yes.
So,
sure.
You wouldn't think, to go to a shul, being Jewish, not to put on the tefillin.
Times changed.
I know.
Yeah. I'm stopping the recording.